Nintendo Switch, no power. Kind of interesting. Port seems okay. I'll show you here in just a second. I kind of want to show you what's going on power-wise. Seems to be just hanging at the 0.20 on that side. And we're getting nothing on that side. So, no battery symbol or anything of that nature. So this one could be a bit interesting. Let's switch over to microscope and take a look at that port. The port could be bad. We won't really know till we get in there. Does seem a little loosey-goosey compared to what it should be. Even a dorked up one wouldn't be that loose, right? Yeah. No, maybe not. Anyway, we're going to open it up just enough for testing, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we are disassembled enough to do some preliminary testing here and inspecting. Things seems to have had a little bit of a rough life, but it's not too bad. All right, first thing we want to check. Let me switch you to microscope. So this capacitor right here is connected to Pi 3 USB. Seems okay. Now let's check all of our M92s. See how these tracers are going to the chips. That's the side we're checking. There are going to be some capacitors that have the 2 traces. In that case, one side will be ground. In that case, that's ground. Okay, everything seems to be checking out there. Check out our little filter. Okay, we're on screen. Let's check around our MOSFETs. Okay, everything seems alright there. Fuse is okay. Now we're going to check our test pads. This one should be ground. None of the rest of these should be until we get to the battery. Okay, everything seems alright. Let's check around our BQ24193. I'm more and more suspecting that port. This one has 2, so one side will be ground. Move that for a moment so you can see. So 2 traces going to the chip. This one has 2 as well. Alright, everything is checking out. I'm going to plug my known good battery to it real quick. Let's see if it will crank up for us. We have no shorts that I can see. However, if it doesn't crank up, I'm going to be starting to suspect Pi 3. let's switch you to this one. And we'll just try to power it up on the battery. Yeah, nothing. And that battery for sure has a full charge on it, so it is a known good battery. So we'll stick that aside. We're going to pull the board entirely, and then we'll check around the Pi 3 USB and see what's going on. Okay, we're completely out of the housing. Let me switch you to microscope. I want to test around the Pi 3 USB. Even though it tested fine on the other side, that doesn't not necessarily mean everything's okay over here. And no, we're not getting power, and usually if Pi is bad, we're not getting anything from this filter. It could just be the filter. Yeah, that whole filter is bad. Yeah, usually if we're not getting any power, it's Pi though. So I'm suspecting Pi is probably bad too. It is. Okay, so see how this trace from this big capacitor, let me get you focused in here so you can follow along. Okay. So we have one big trace leading to this capacitor. That is one we do not want to be short, but it is very clearly shorted. So suspicions were correct. We have a bad filter, and we have a bad Pi 3 USB. So this is most likely going to be dock damage, third-party dock damage, and I'll have to let the client know because this is actually a direct client. So I'll have to let them know, but it looks like that's going to be our problem. I'm going to take a good look at this port while we have it out here. It's a little dirty. And it looks like it's got a little bit of corrosion on it. So I'm going to go ahead and change the port too. In fact, it may serve us best to take the port off and then just test again. I mean, that filter is very clearly bad, so 100% that's going to be a problem, but we'll test again anyway. But I'm going to definitely take off the port. It's seen better days, so no point in leaving that piece of junk on there. Alright, get set up and I will be right back. Okay, I'm going to get my equipment set up here, and while we're doing that, I will throw up our temps. Stage the iron I want to use. I'm just going to bring the micro pencil for now. Okay. And we're going to do what we always do. We're going to flood the air with low melts and go from there. Alright, another good pull. Let's make sure we don't have any bridges. before we do testing again. No bridges. Make sure you can actually see that. No bridges. So let's test one more time. I don't think it's going to change anything about our testing. Alright. First thing I want to check is that short, and it's still there. Okay. And this filter is still blown. Alright. Not surprising. So, next issue, we will pull those. We will pull the Pi 3 and make sure that short is relieved before we worry about anything else. If it is not relieved, there's no point in proceeding further, typically. So if I think if the CPU had been short, we would have had a short on that top cat on M92T36. But Nintendo Switches never fail to surprise sometimes. Anytime you start thinking you've mastered them, you will run into something new. Alright, let's check and see if our short is gone. I suspect it will be, but again, don't get cocky. And it is gone. Very good. Let's remove our filter. We are going to make special note that this is a version with the diode arrays, so if we have a dogging problem, that will probably be them, or it could be them. Alright, that's good to me. We're going to do one more meter test. Just make sure everything is good. That was not good before. Perfect. Alright, we'll inspect it again before we do any tests, but first we got to get the port on, and for that we're going to flip the board and get started. Okay, let's perform a test. And actually, I think I would like to use the battery tester on this one. So, in this particular case, well, first let's see what it does on the USB-C, because we know what to look for there. Okay, and back down, very good. Not so good. Alright, so that definitely makes me want to test the battery. And for that, we will use our battery tester. I'll bump our voltage down to about 4.7. Okay, and we're going to prompt the boot with our OEM. Just see what it does. Nothing on that side. Now it's going. Okay, so we're only getting one side charging, which makes me think we have a diode array issue. I'm pretty sure our port's fine. So, stick a shunt on our, protection on our charger. And we're going to pull this array. And the other array. They are non-critical, so I'm not going to bother replace. I do have them, but I'm just not going to bother replacing them. What I'll try and do here is get some leaded on them to lower the temperature. I don't care about bridging at the moment. It'll be difficult to do with that iron. So I'll do it with the Pico pencil. Go from there. I don't know if you saw me there, but I low melted that off because I did not want to disturb the port. Alright. Put our USB-C back on and see if we're getting charging on both sides again. Nope. I need to raise that voltage again. Try that again. Nothing. Could it be an M92? Okay, normal. And nothing. Alright, well, I'm starting to suspect we have an M92 problem as well. Let me just double check. I'm going to use my OEM, which you will not be able to see. Nothing. Yeah, we're still only getting one side charging. We're definitely booting. Yeah, that's making me think we have an N92 issue as well. We've removed the diode arrays, so it cannot be them again. Double check that one filter. You know it's booting, so it's not P13. No bridges. Just want to make sure we don't have any shorted filters as well. And check that filter on the other side. And then we're going to change M92. I think port soldering went fine. Okay. Alright, we're going to change M92 then. Okay, let's test again. We want to see voltage on both sides this time. Okay. All right. Ding ding. Anyway, let's reassemble and we'll run some tests and go from there. I'm probably going to have to fix my battery before I can do that, but actually let's take a look at the battery real quick. See if I can do that with any ease. Now my wire has decided to pull off and it's broken. I'm probably going to have to go board level in there, which is awesome. So I will probably do that off screen, but yeah, I'm going to fix that so that I can test the switch. Okay, we're assembled enough to test, and I'm going to use my test dongle here. If you're wondering what I'm using as a test dongle, it's very similar to the one Phil built. It was actually his idea, or I believe it was his idea. Could have been Jason's. Alright, so let's turn on our power. And I'm going to prompt to boot with the OEM. And hopefully we will boot. Alright, full battery symbol. That's a good sign. Why are you not booting? Full battery symbol. Okay, why are you not booting? Oh, that's strange. Pump voltage up to 5, maybe it's too low. Try again. Yeah, for some reason it's not activating. Okay, strange. Well, we know it's going on both sides. Let's see. I would have liked to have seen a boot here. That battery breaking is a big downer for me. Alright, switch back to the USB-C. Okay, we're just going to let it charge on its own battery. Unfortunately, that broken wire on my battery kind of makes things suck a little bit. I don't know if it'll work without that one red wire. I mean, we can try it. It won't hurt nothing. We can try it and see. Overly optimistic. No, it's not working without that wire. I don't think. It's not plugged in all the way. That came out way too easy. Oh, it is working. Okay. So it is working without the red wire. That's good news. Alright, cool. That's what I wanted to see. It was it power up? So okay, it's working. And we found out even if you break one red wire on your battery, it'll still work. Good to know. Alright, we will put it back together enough. Oh, we'll put it back together completely, let it charge, and go from there. And we'll run tests once it's got a little bit of charge on it. Okay, we're back up and running on their battery. Let's see, show you that it's charging on both sides. Turn off cooperate. Yes, it does. Cool. Their controllers have severe drift, but I will connect them anyway just to show that they are charging. They are charging. Right. So I'm going to set up for a dock test and then we'll go from there. Okay, as you can see, it is docking. I'll switch you over to capture. And I put up the Wi-Fi there so that you can see that it also is picking up the Wi-Fi networks. So that really is going to be it for this repair. Okay, in summary, we had a weird one side drawing a little bit of current, the other side not drawing any current. So we checked the port, seemed kind of okay. It wasn't in real good shape. Took it apart, did some testing, really didn't see anything in testing. initial testing. Took the board, but we did try to test with a with our battery dongle and a known good battery. It would not boot up. This led us to believe that there might be a problem with P13, because even if your BQ is dead or if your M92 is dead, typically you will still get a boot up. You might get false charging or something like that, but you'll get a boot up. The one chip that I see most commonly that will stop it from booting up at all is a dead Pi 3 USB. I may have said P13. People call it two different things all the time. So Pi 3 USB. So we took it apart. We started measuring around the Pi 3 USB, and we found a blown filter, and we found that the Pi 3 USB was also blown. It did not present on the M92 T36 side. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So we pulled those. We pulled the port. We looked into the port closer. We found some corrosion in the port and stuff like that. It was just a better idea just to change the port too. So we changed those, changed the port. In testing, we found out we had one side charging. I was pretty confident about the port placement. I went ahead and pulled the diode arrays because they can cause that to sense them. It did not turn out to be the diode array. It's a non-critical part, so I did not replace them. Later revisions didn't even include them, even though they had a place where they could populate them. So no big deal. Nobody leave me comments about that. So we still had one side charging after pulling those. So the only thing that could have still been the cause, and we tested everything in between, was the N92 T36. So we pulled the N92 T36, replaced it. Everything came back, good in our tests. So we found out we can test with our known good battery, even when the red cable inevitably breaks, which it seems to always do. That's the second battery it's done on. So anyway, we've done our tests. So we are, everything is working. It's charging on both sides. It's powering up. It's docking. So we're good to go. If you have any questions about the equipment I used in this video, take a look in the description below. If you like the video, do me a favor, hit the like button on your way out. And if you want to see more videos like it, hit the subscribe button and maybe the notification bell. And you'll know when I post videos. Right now it's about 2 times a week. Leave a comment or a question in the description, and down below, and I'll be happy to answer if you have a question. And if I have an answer, I don't tend to try to BS if I don't. So anyway, that's all I had to ask of you. See you next time. Thank you for watching.